part, your family would have a plot, your family would have a plot, your family would have a plot, my family would have a plot in this area where we grew vegetables. We grew the beans and the chard and the Brussels sprouts and carrots and beets and the like, which went on your table toward the end of summer when they were ripe. Now, we did have some theft. You always have some wise guy somewhere that would come along and either steal or rape. But believe me, they did it once. That's all. Because the punishment that they got may have been some jail time or some probation time or something like that. But they were ostracized by the community. Much the same as the Amish do. I don't know if you're familiar with the Amish out here, how they will shun people. And that happened. That's very severe punishment. And to my way of thinking, it could be used more widely. So we were able to eat pretty well. Those that had some money were able to, bread was 10 cents a loaf, but in our house, my mother made bread a couple of times a week. And a pot of ground meat, I think it was 29 cents. A can of soup was 10 cents. A can of beans was 10 cents. Things like that. But remember, you only had a couple of dollars to spend, so what you do, you spend it wisely. The other thing that happened, and I had an aunt, my mother's sister, that worked for some wealthy people down in the city of Pittsburgh, and these wealthy people, they had money all during the Depression, not nearly as much as they'd had prior to it, but they would be buying some new blankets or a new coat or new suit, and my aunt would get the old blanket or the old suit or the old sheets or whatever they had, which were still usable, and bring them out, and my mother would learn of a family, say the Carrolls or the Brogans or Costellos or somebody, were having a tough time. She would give the blanket or the sheets and whatever to these people and help them out. Now, my mother wasn't the only one that did that. There were other people in town that did the same thing. We looked after one another. We took care of one another. We were concerned about one another. It's hard to find today, but that's the way it was then. It's still it's still prevalent among a lot of the older people, and I'm happy to say that young people today are taking a look at what they can do. We're starting to get more and more people into social service work, because we'll always have the poor with us. It's unfortunate, but it was that way back in biblical times. It was back that way in the early part of America, even with the Puritans that come over. They had people among them that, for some reason, really couldn't put two and two together and get some work out of it. So that's something you're going to have with you, and look forward to that in your later life. Maybe you can do something to help. You can always do, maybe you will do something to help, because you always can if you wish. You can do whatever you want if you put some thought into it. During those days, my father, as with many other men, would walk long distances to work. Were he to take a streetcar to work, it would cost him an 8-cent token and a dime. Either a dime for a pass or tokens were 3 for 4, so it was 8 for 30 cents. So that was going one way. We'll call it 20 cents, round it up. 20 cents to go to work, 20 cents to come back from work. But he would walk 3 miles to work. There were a group of people that worked in the mill where he worked, and they would all get together. They always worked turns, but they'd all meet say about an hour before work time in Eastern Kingsport in the morning, and walked over what we call the hot metal bridge. And they had, one of the things, we lived, let me tell you some geography. We lived on one side of the Monongahela River, and the mill was on the other side, downriver. There was what they called a hot metal bridge, where molten metal was poured into big, they looked like torpedoes on a flat car. Of course, they were awful hot. And Dad and his group had to walk over the hot metal bridge to get to work. But he also had to make sure that he wasn't crossing the bridge at the same time the hot metal train was going over, or they would be toast. So they had to worry about that. But they saved 40 cents a day by walking. Now you say, well, 40 cents. But 40 cents could buy a meal. If you had meat at 29 cents a pound, and bread 10 cents a loaf, butter at 15 cents a pound, eggs at 12 cents a dozen, things like that. You've got to get that in relation and think back to how money, the economics of money, how it changed our life and how things have increased. You know, as I say, he made $12 a week. I know some of you guys wouldn't go out on a date unless you had 20 bucks in your pocket today. That's the way it is. The $20 of today is the $5 of not too many years ago. So that's where if you're going to study anything, study economics, and you'll find out that things just changed by the nature of growth. During the period of the Depression, a lot of men would travel around the country looking for jobs. If we lived in Pittsburgh, with some of the men in the area heard about one of the steel mills in Cleveland, we'll say, open up, they would get on the railroad, Pennsylvania Railroad, and hop on a freight train, look to Cleveland, look for a job. Now, those people were hobos. They were out there with good people, household with a family or the like, looking for work. You also had some bums. The bums who just never did work, didn't want to work, and they were a nuisance, actually. As I said earlier, if you had milk was delivered to the door in those days, buy a quart of milk or 2 quarts of milk, or you could get your butter delivered to the door. Get a lot of stuff delivered. But if the milk was delivered, say, at 6 o'clock in the morning, you'd better have it in by 6:01, or it may not be there when you go looking for it, because some bum, and there were a lot of them, had made off with it. Now, Tramp was different. Tramp, he was one who had down on his luck, traveling around looking for a job. He got one fine, but he didn't get one. Most tramps were simple people. They really didn't care as long as you got some food every day. We learned, my mother, God rest her soul, was a kindly Irish woman. And it seems that we were always getting hobos at the door. And they'd come and my mother would give them whatever she had. Today it might be peanut butter and jelly. Tomorrow it might be peanut butter. Some days it might be a hot dog or some luncheon meat or some cheese and a sandwich. Or it might be a bowl of Mother's Oats with a little milk in it. Whatever we have, Mom was always ready to share. One time she said to her, the other thing she would do, the fellow came to the door, he was a pretty decent looking fellow and had some decent clothes. And his clothes were kind of dirty. She'd give him a sheet and said, "No, you go over in the corner of the porch, take those clothes off, and while you're eating, I'll run them through the washer." So the hobo would be there for about an hour and a half under her sheet. They were sitting in the corner. This was in warm weather, of course. And she would wash his clothes for him, give him back. I mean, his socks and his